Welcome to episode 5 of Meet the Vegans, and this week we review The Goonies.
The Goonies, 1985. Directed by Richard Donner, story by Steven Spielberg, and screenplay by Chris Columbus. Set in Astoria at a time where the Goondock is soon to be turned to a new golf course.
We join the Goonies on their last adventure to find One-Eyed Willie's treasure in hope that they can find it to save their houses from being turned into a golf course. But along the way, the Goonies run into the Fratelli family, who are on the run from the authorities.
While searching for the treasure, they will come across booby traps and puzzles. But can they avoid all the traps and solve the puzzles and get to the lost treasure of One-Eyed Willie before the Fratellis beat them to it and take it all for themselves?
The Goonies. Absolute
fucking brilliant.
Yeah, it's one of them movies from being a kid to now never loses its funniness, does it? In fact, it probably gets funnier with age.
Yeah.
It's been, it's got some of the best people involved. You've got Richard Donner, Spielberg, Columbus, all like gods in their own right from what they've done. And they come together to create this fantastic family fun movie, which in theory is a little bit creepy for younger kids.
Yeah, definitely.
But what an amazing
you watch
movie.
it now and you just think this was for kids.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you get like halfway to the movie and it's like got rotten skeletons and
You
shit
don't
like
even
that.
need to get halfway through the movie. I mean, Mouth is already saying shit like sexual devices and this is where we keep the cocaine,
Separate.
marijuana and fucking speed. We keep the drugs separate. You know what I mean? This is like a kids movie for kids. It was a kids adventure movie.
Yeah, Rosalita.
It's fucking, yeah. But, it's loved by everyone. I don't think I've ever come across anyone
that slates it.
Yeah, who slates it or has bad thoughts about it.
I have come across a lot of people that have never ever seen it.
Yeah.
Which is an absolute baffling moment to me that people have never seen this movie.
Poor people. Watch The Goonies.
From the word go when the Fratellis are breaking the brother out of the prison, and that joyful little comes on.
It's that adventure music. You know it's an adventure film from that music.
You've literally got the breaking out. Some dude's hung himself and now he's breaking out of prison, and you've got that playing over it. To me, absolutely mint film. It sets the tone from that moment, doesn't it?
Yeah. This is a film that's not taken too seriously, but knows what it is.
Yeah, it knows it's a family fun movie. Like at the beginning when you're seeing all the kids kind of introduced in their own right, really, aren't
and
you?
you see their characters, like who their characters are. That's how it's portrayed.
You get that sense immediately, especially when you come to Chunk.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh, God, police chase! Wow! Squashes
all the
Jesus. Shit!
You got Data with these little gadgets, pulling himself to a fucking, a bin or something like that.
Yeah.
He gets thrown into a bin. Yeah.
But it starts off really well, and then it really does introduce those characters fantastically, especially with Mikey and his brother Brandon.
Yeah.
And you get that real sense of brotherly love there. You kind of think that love-hate relationship.
Sibling rivalry, yeah.
And it's really good. And I mean, they've played it really well to begin with, and then you get all the friends start coming in. You get Mouth turns up first.
Hey, Mickey!
Yeah, the cocky one, but he's also the funniest
one. Yeah. He's the cool one. He's the one that you want to be like. He's the one that you wanted to be as a kid, sort of thing.
Yeah, wearing the Purple Rain t-shirt.
Yeah.
And then you've got Chunk turns up, and they make him do that truffle shuffle.
Yeah.
Come on, do it! And then again, that sets the tone for Chunk, especially when he goes in and he breaks that bloody statue.
Yeah.
You broke my mom's favourite piece. He sticks it on upside down. What a movie. I mean, honestly, it is just a rip-raw fun ride all the way through, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it just never ends, really, does it? The fun never ends through it.
There's no... I mean, there's lulls in it, sort of thing, but like the lulls of either excitement or adventure.
Yeah, and it keeps that momentum going.
Yeah.
It's always telling that story. It doesn't stop and it doesn't fail to tell that story.
Yeah.
And it always keeps you reminded of what the end goal is, One-Eyed Willie. It never stops telling you that, does it?
Yeah.
It's always Mikey that's constantly reminding you of
like
One-Eyed
if it was
Willie.
made today, there'd be a lot more of the people above ground,
Yeah.
wondering where the kids are.
were,
There'd be
yeah.
a lot more of that in this if it was made like in this day and age. But it's just literally, it's their time. It's their time down there.
It's their last adventure, and it's all about them.
Yeah.
The only time it comes above ground is literally for the Fratellis.
Yeah.
When they until they
Troy.
Yeah, or Troy until they go underground. Andy, But even as the movie sweeps along and you get used to it, and you start seeing more of the Fratellis and how evil yet funny they are, like especially with Chunk.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely brilliant when it's like, why don't we start from the beginning?
And then he tells them his entire life.
It started in 3rd grade.
All the shit he's made up.
Absolutely brilliant. Like the time Michael Jackson came around to your house to use the toilet.
Okay, Michael Jackson didn't come around to use my house to use the toilet. But
his sister did. It's just, like I said, it is non-stop, pure fun.
And like I said, it also helps that the kids that are in it
are good actors.
Actually act, sort of thing. Whether they were high, which is probably more than likely, but
Feldman more than likely. It was that era, but it led to them all being good actors. Though it led on to other stuff. Josh Brolin now he's probably one of. He went through a stage of being one of the top Hollywood actors for a while, and now he's in Marvel movies.
I don't think that was because of his dad either.
No, definitely,
You know what I mean?
definitely
he is
not.
his own.
But I think Josh Brolin he made his own way in the world of acting. He didn't rely on his dad.
Yeah.
As much as his dad was massive, he had the money, he had everything. He could have got his son in every big movie known to man, but he didn't.
Yeah.
Really. You know, and that's what's really good about it. Feldman, obviously, he was already a star. Feldman, he been in Gremlins and anything like that, wasn't it?
Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
He was
Part
in 2.
5.
Was he in 2 of them?
He was in 4 and 5.
Yeah. Or at the beginning of 1 anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you've got.
I mean, he's a face that sort of like I grew up with. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
but
you saw
he
him
did.
grow up as well, and he was still the cool dude.
But it was like we had Lost Boys, we had License to Drive.
The Burbs.
Yeah, we had Burbs. Yeah, but the I love the Burbs. But you see Feldman grow up. But Sean Astin, we saw him grow up. California Man.
Yeah.
Obviously, Lord of the Rings. Eventually, there's Sam.
Sam?
Yeah, Sam Wise.
Sam and Dave. No
Yeah,
idea.
Just a bit.
And that guy from the Wonder Years. Kevin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
He had that massive mole in Austin Powers.
Moly.
Yeah.
Goonies. So.
Oh yeah, Goonies.
Yeah, Goonies.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the adventure begins. Well, continues, I should say. And like we've mentioned, when it becomes to the booby traps and the puzzles, I mean, you don't really see that in movies anymore. The puzzles, especially when they're on the bone piano.
Yeah.
And
the floor's dropping behind them and that.
You don't see that anymore. And as much as alright when the floor was dropping, not the best digital effects for its time.
It hasn't aged very well, but
it's good.
It gets the point across.
Yeah, exactly. And like the bit when Data falls through the floor, and he uses grit teeth.
It's what they call pinches of power or something.
Pinches of power.
It has that comedic sort of cartoon effect. He goes,
yeah. Even when he's power lights.
Yeah.
That's the one thing about them, the battery.
They don't last so long.
It's brilliant. I mean, it mocked a lot of things, but made it funny.
Yeah.
And that's what's really enjoyable about it. And then you get to the pirate ship, One-Eyed Willie's ship, where all the treasure is. You've got Mouth that's got
that was a real ship as well. They actually built that ship.
Yeah. And they took the octopus scene out, which is...
Yeah, that was shit.
We
really
did that.
But as a kid, I was like... because at the end, Data says we had to fight an octopus. He's like, I never saw that sort of thing, but obviously it's come out, not recently, but in the past times, that, there was an octopus
But
scene.
you always thought it was just the kids over-exaggerating the story of what they've done.
Like Chunk would do with, Michael Jackson coming around to his house. I just took it as it was one of them, just
over-exaggerations, yeah. It'd been better probably if it had come from, Chunk, wouldn't it? Because it's Data that says it.
Yeah.
And like, because Chunk does tell these stories all the way, and especially when he meets like Sloth, the relationship between him and Sloth is absolutely fantastic. They would not do that in a movie these days.
Yeah.
They would just say they were taking the piss out of someone who had a disability.
Yeah.
Whereas
it's like Face, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They wouldn't make that. I don't think they'd make that film anymore.
They wouldn't. I mean, and that really was like that. Well, that was a true disability, wasn't it? In Face.
Yeah.
But you never really see anyone like that. And these days they won't touch it. It's too PC. Then sometimes you'll find like a really groundbreaking movie that really does go a bit too far
with it.
But people then love it. It gets an Oscar, yada yada. With things like we saw with like Face and this, you would never get that anymore. It's just not. It's too un-PC.
Yeah,
really,
it's not the
it?
prettiest of things, is it? No. It's not like, you know, sort of just finding.
I don't think they'd ever show a scene either of someone like Sloth picking Chunk up and kissing him.
Yeah.
Baby Ruth, Baby Ruth. Chunk love Baby Ruth.
Jeez, mister, you're more crazy about chocolate than I am. Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of things in that film. I mean, any of those films that come from like the 80s, well,
it's that mid-80s,
yeah, the 80s, 90s sort of thing. Like they just wouldn't do. They'd ruin it with just crap.
Yeah, it's just like,
he'd be a CG character these days.
Yeah, more than likely.
Do you know what I mean?
Probably. And it's just like I said, the relationship between Sloth and Chunk goes beyond that, especially when you get to the end of the film, and it's like that little emotional scene. He's like, "You're gonna come and live with me," and his little ear going. It's just like I said, you just wouldn't get that these days. They can't make that pre-adolescent. Like,
to me though, it's quite nice because it's like, here's a deformed man, but yet the kids take him sort of like under their wing.
Under the wing. Nowadays
they don't see the deformity sort of thing.
But nowadays you take the piss out of me.
Yeah.
You get happy slapped or whatever.
Yeah.
Poor bastard.
Is that still a thing?
I don't know.
Oh. But I died out with Tango.
Probably. But it's nice you don't get that in movies anymore, do you?
No,
you get
there's too many plots nowadays in movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If it was made nowadays, there'd be like the story arc of the Fratellis, the story arc of Sloth, the story arc of the Goonies, the story arc of the parents. You know what I mean? The story arc of the rich guys.
Yeah.
And it just gets all too confusing. This is nice and easy. They're going to lose their house. They go off on the last adventure to find the treasure that no one else has found. And that's the story. I mean, it's a simple premise, basically.
And it's quite odd that, especially with it being mid-80s, it was a 2-hour film.
Yeah.
It's very rare you got a 2-hour family adventure film in those days. It was always an hour 25, an hour 25 or an hour and 30, and it never really progressed past that 90-minute mark, did it? And this kind of pushed that extra story in there for that extra half an hour.
That's probably because they had so much to
put in it. Yeah, and that's what's good about it. These days, a 2-hour film's the norm. Yeah. It's very rare you get a 90-minute film these days. And that's what I liked about it. It was breaking ground as well. Yeah. It was something, Spielberg was renowned for making these movies that were breaking ground. And the fact that he brought, obviously, Superman director in, Columbus in as the writer, it just made this film perfect. Yeah. And as much as it, like you said, it's got its flaws.
Yeah, it does have its flaws.
But
it's not a perfect movie.
Not at all.
It's a
timeless movie. Yeah. It's a timeless movie.
I mean, you could sit through any movie and nitpick little bits and pieces.
You can
do that in any film. You know what I mean? But this is like, it's to me, it's perfect.
Yeah,
but it's not a perfect film. But to me, it is.
It's like we grew up with this. I was 3 when it came out.
I was 2.
But it's like I said, it's a timeless movie. Absolute spot on movie. And I think for me, this is. But
it's not even like kids from that era. Parents. Like my parents will watch that film.
Yeah, of course they would. My parents
sort of like, with like great awe sort of thing, like, oh, this is the Goonies, put it on, leave it on, sort of thing. And I think even like your grandma would probably like it, or your granddad. You know what I mean? It seems to be one of those films that speaks to a wide sort of audience,
a massive
of different generations, because of the adventure. And the kids, and then like the baddies and that. There's a lot rolled into it.
But I think it was that time and era of the 80s where, we had that boom again of kids through the 80s, and parents obviously were into watching stuff. Through the 70s, we had quite bland children's movies and pre-adolescent movies, and then 80s, it was fun-filled. We had that era of Spielberg and everyone making these movies where it was time to sit down with your family and watch it. As much as the 80s was filled with crappy action movies, but good family films and good horror films, it was an era that broke ground. And again, we've lost that era, especially with horror and family films.
Yeah.
It's all crappy animated movies
it's like
now.
Super 8 sort of brought that back a little bit, but it was a bit over the top for me. Just a little bit too over the top.
I like Super 8.
I don't mind it. It's just
train scene.
That train scene is way over the top.
Yeah.
For it, sort of, a kid's sort of adventure. I get it, like, let's show it off. Here's our showpiece and all that lot. But there was no need for it. They could have had the train crash without the kids. Take the kids out. That scene's fine.
Do you not think that's
the kids a little bit further away?
Just
a bit further away.
One of them kids have definitely got mauled.
Yeah,
by
definitely.
that train.
Yeah.
But do you not think that's like J.J. Abrams going, this is what I can do, this is the kind of story I'm writing? Because it was, in theory, it wasn't necessarily, to begin with, it wasn't necessarily an action movie. We've turned it round and we've got a load of kids that are obsessed with films. They're writing their own films, they're making their own films. It was a different twist.
Wasn't it set in the 80s as well?
Yeah, it was set in the 80s, because that's...
Which, for some reason, always helps. Stranger Things, you know what I mean?
Set in
Another
the 80s.
Adventure sort of like science-y thing.
Things.
It's set in the 80s and it works. Do you think Super 8 would have worked if it was set now?
No, definitely not.
So it's obviously something to do with the 80s.
Yeah, we'd have had a high-speed train. It'd been in Japan that ran on magnets or something like that. And
it'd be the maglev train. Yeah. Fucking hell, yeah.
But that's it. That 80s era, though, we were just coming into technology. We had computers. It wasn't... But like, for then, it was the most advanced technology we ever had. Do you know what I mean? But...
Phones were massive.
Yeah.
They were like that. They were huge.
It's one of them. It was like... It's that era of where technology was really starting to build.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they like. I think that's why sci-fi was really good from that era. Like...
because of all the coming up with technology and that. Yeah, definitely.
It's like nowadays, you make a movie about sci-fi, we've already got technology, it makes no difference.
Yeah.
We have to make futuristic films
sci-fi,
for it to be, really make an impact on us. Goonies. So...
Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, bloody hell.
Once again. So, the Goonies for me, I would give it definitely... For me, I'd give it top marks, 5 out of 5. It is a film that has come with me from being a child. It never gets old. I watch it at least once a year. It's still funny in all the funny bits, even though I've seen it millions of times.
Yeah. You still laugh at the same bits,
yeah, exactly.
which is really weird.
And it's not chuckle laughs, it's laugh out loud.
Yeah.
It is that laugh out loud moment.
It's like you said, that scene where Chunk gets put in the back of the truck
face
and that, and you see his face and that, and it's just like, I watch that face every single time, and it makes me fucking piss myself.
Yeah,
every time.
It's an absolute roaring adventure.
Yeah,
and it'll never get old for me.
I don't think it'll ever age.
No, it definitely.
There's nothing really tying that film to the 80s apart from Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah, that's it. You wouldn't. Yeah, you could put. Yeah,
you could put them kids in any sort of time era.
Yeah,
basically.
definitely. Yeah. Because there's nothing, obviously, they're not playing computer games or anything like that.
Yeah, there's nothing really 80s about the dress apart from brand sort of like dress. Like the whole shorts over the top of like jogging pants and that. Yeah. That's kind of 80s, but there's nothing really that ties that film to the 80s apart from...
It doesn't mention it, really. It doesn't really mention it
and Cyndi Lauper.
And Cyndi Lauper, yeah.
Who did, definitely. Was it 2 songs for him?
2. It was 2 songs. So yeah, definite 5 out of 5 from me.
I can't go for a 5.
Oh, I can.
I can't. I'll go for a 4.5. I can't give it 5. I love it to bits, but I can't give it 5.
I can give it a 5.
I can't give it 5.
It's just one of them, it's too heartwarming for me.
The same for me, but I can't give it a 5. I'm going to have to give it a 4.5. Sorry, folks. But that's just me. I'm a bastard. And so's he.
So if you agree or disagree, hit us up in them comments below. If you haven't already, please subscribe and smash that like button.
Smash it hard.
I've been Anthony.
And I've been Neil.
And remember,
hail the vegans.